I'm going to claim the need to revise. Basically work a minor revision of the study guide in our last class for module 4. And I'm going to ask you if this description is sufficient enough to explain preps before forensic analysis commences. It says any and all tools must be meticulously maintained, updated, and retested again for proper function. First assignment of this module is intended to reinforce the complex aspects of this process. This is true for the host system BIOS, the host system OS, any host system applications, especially the virtual machine software. Okay. By extension, you then must update the running virtual machine itself in the same manner. For Linux systems, this is often accomplished by entering a simple command from a terminal. Okay. So my question to you is, do you use a virtual machine for your Kali box? Let's just respond verbally.
I use a Kali appliance yet.
Yeah, I use a virtual machine.
Virtual machine. So I have my virtual machine here. And I'm ready to go here, but is this the order of update?
No.
What is the order of update?
So you want to do whole system, then VirtualBox itself, and then Kali.
Excellent. And here's why. Here's the host. Says I'm up to date. Here's VirtualBox. I ran this option. And here's what it says over here. Everybody see this?
Yep.
Yep.
So is it okay for me to leave my Kali running?
Nope.
No.
And is it possible I could update my Kali, but if the VirtualBox is half-baked, if there's a fix that's needed that isn't applied, that the Kali would not work completely? Something like that. If I were deadly serious about this, I would close VirtualBox and then I'm gonna say this is true for the order is important. It's not essential, the order of maintenance process. And I'll say beginning with that's a little more specific. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
Subtle but different. Subtle but important. Okay. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate which would be better if what you were doing forensically was massively important. Can you just download the VirtualBox new version and load it on top of the old? Or would it be cleaner to uninstall the VirtualBox? A lot of people would argue that's not necessary. I don't want any component of the 7.0.6 to be around. I don't want any old components to be in the mix. If I uninstall this software, do I have old components in the mix still?
No, but I have a question. If you were to update it straight and then just do a disk cleanup and a defrag, would that just do the same thing?
It might, but here's what I want to show you. We just uninstalled VirtualBox, right?
Yes.
Oh, look. Did it remove all the components, the old components?
No.
Look, there's a folder with extension packs, 73 megabytes, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete this. Now, I mean, if you wanted to be completely pure about it, you might also have to run into the, let's see, where's program data? Do I see Oracle in here? No. What about my user profile? In app data, local, I see Oracle in here. No, okay, that's good. I could look and see if there's any extra stuff in there, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna reboot my system, but ordinarily I would go ahead and reboot my system. You could also go into, I mean, if you were completely meticulous about this, there's one other aspect of, there's a couple of other places in the operating system where you'd want to remove everything from the previous version. And again, I know it might even seem OCD or not, or needless. Might be good to go in here and see if there are old entries for some of those things. I don't see anything in there. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't see any other references. There's one other place I'd be sure to find VirtualBox references in this Windows host. Does anybody know where I'm absolutely 100% guaranteed to find remaining remnants? And why are we doing this? Well, it's the same kind of thing. If you're working analysis of a host drive in a Windows environment, where can you find leftovers from a previously installed and then uninstalled application? Let's turn this scenario into a malicious scenario. Let's say I'm a bad person and I'm covering my tracks. I remove an application that I use to hack things, and I remove the directories associated with that, right? So I go in here and I remove things just like I did. I go into temp folders, I go into users. Where else am I going to find remnants of VirtualBox on a Windows system?
If you made a share folder.
If I made a share folder, yes, I could have file system objects in here if I was doing things to share a folder, yeah. So I could go in here and I could manage, but even those share folders, like shared folders, right? So there are the share folders. Everybody see?
Yes, we do.
Oh, how many of you knew that each drive letter in a Windows machine has a hidden share that administrators can tap across the network? That's a scary thought, isn't it? And this one, that's a security hole. Okay. The users is shared? I didn't know users was shared. Hold up. Oh. I guess in a previous life I did that. Or maybe that's something new. I'm gonna take that out. No, there's one other place on a Windows machine that you're gonna find remnants. That thing rears its ugly head from time to time. I've deleted that with impunity and it hasn't caused a problem. I'm a bad person trying to cover my tracks. Where else am I going? I'm not gonna match whole strings. In the registry, you're likely to, oh, look at there. Does everybody see that?
Yep.
Notice when I
Yep.
was in the States.
Yeah, so if I were, now there are registry analysis tools, specialty tools for the registry, and this is why, right? But you don't need specialty tools. You can export, right? So one of the things that they tell you is that if you're in there and you're noodling around and you have to modify things in a registry, you should always export a copy of the registry just in case. When registry files are modified in real time, the change applies live. Okay, much of the time with registry edits. So if a registry edit has the potential to create a huge problem, and look, here's a second one, right? So I could control select both, and then I could hit the delete key. Deleting certain registry values could cause system instability. Are you sure you want to permanently delete these values? Right, so what you'd want to do is if you have the full disk backup, you'd want to extract the registry and then analyze the registry. And again, there are some specialty tools. So a lot of times people do not anticipate. You saw what I did just there, right? I'm gonna hit F3 to see if I can get it to, oh, there's another reference. Oh, there's 3 more references. Look at that. Whoop, I better be careful. There's a 4th one. Virtual, 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 box, box, box. Oh, now I'm seeing the history of the things that were installed, right? Yes, I want to do that. I'm going to hit F3. This is also how you can manually clean out a lot of malicious stuff if you get in there. You have a chance to do that. Any questions about what you're watching? There's an Oracle reference. I can delete that. Oh, okay. Hit F3 again. Yeah, that's an Oracle lookup. So that might have more to do with the database. And see, it's Microsoft. The reference has to do with Microsoft and Oracle. And you do have some specialty applications. And in Windows 10, you'd have an option called administrative tools, right? Does anybody here have a Windows 10 machine?
I do.
Okay. And you have administrative tools, and when you open up administrative tools, you have something called ODBC.
I have two, yeah, 64-bit and 32-bit.
Administrative tools, Windows 10. So in Windows 11, it's a little hidden. So you have control admin tools. All right, let's try that. WinR. Oh, there we go. So there's an option under control panel for all control panel items. Does everybody see the ODBC data sources? See 32 and 64-bit?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look. Here's an admin tool for recovery drive. I wonder if that was included in older versions of Windows. Not so sure. If you have a Windows 10 option open in administrative tools, let me know if recovery drive is a part of that. Is recovery drive a part of that? Anyone? Does anyone have their Windows 10 screen open?
I do.
iSCSI initiator. This is how you connect to a network of a logical volume across the network using a network protocol, right? So you can actually have disk drives connected to the host using the iSCSI initiator, and that's when you're working with something called a storage area network. Yeah. So that's another favorite of gifted crackers and hackers. They can get on a system, connect to a remote volume, and then they have a great way to exfiltrate data, right? So that's something to take a look at. In any case, here's your regedit. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to call out that some of the Oracle references have more to do with database interfaces and database front-end server to client back-end connections, and that's the intent of these two utilities, 32-bit and 64-bit. So as I'm editing, if I remove some of this stuff, this says Olay database error lookup, right? So did I delete the key for this? No, it said I couldn't. I'd have to delete the key itself. I don't want to do that. I'll hit F3 again. And what I'm seeing now is stuff that has to do with that component. There's another one, the same thing. And In the interest of time and sanity, this is probably a bit of an oversimplification about some of this. You're gonna see some references to Oracle or other values. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's a VirtualBox reference, no doubt about it. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit delete. And if, I don't know what that reference is, so I just know the one I deleted was. If I look at this one as well, there's another VirtualBox reference. How long does this go? Oh my, it can run a very long time. The important part is to make sure that what you're deleting, the keys and such, you're deleting this precise reference and not like the actual component of the Hive, right? So Windows Registry is organized into hives. There's one that was missed. It's a VirtualBox reference, not an Oracle reference. Does everybody see that? So if I wanted to expunge everything that had to do with VirtualBox, I would have to check for Oracle associated VirtualBox references, because that's what I'm searching for, or VirtualBox references. Okay? Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, a devoted hacker would go ahead and search for everything Oracle that's associated with VirtualBox and everything VirtualBox, if that were a malicious program, right? I'm not going to do the rest of this. Again, in the interest of time and sanity, I'll go ahead and simply check to make sure I don't have anything else in there that has to do with Oracle. Right? And now I'll download. In the interest of time and sanity, I'm not going to reboot my system. But I do need to make sure that I'm downloading the latest version. Now, if this were dreadfully serious, would I simply download the new version and the extension pack? What else would I do to make sure that I'm getting a pure copy, an untainted copy of the software, VirtualBox? Hello? Is SHA-1? Is SHA-1 good? Or if I'm going to court, would I rather check the hash with SHA-256?
256.
That's right. Right? So I'm on screen. I'm going to look at the checksums. And I'm downloading which version? The 64-bit version for Windows. That's this. Everybody see what I'm doing here?
Yep.
I'm going to copy this. I'll put it in Notepad. And then there's one other one I need for the extension pack. So it's the extensions. And I think I downloaded the 156879, so I think it's this one at the top. So now I should be able to use my hash tool. Are there updates to my hash tool? No. It is what it is. I'm gonna select a file in my downloads folder. And this is what I have. So I'm gonna copy this. Paste it in here. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm also gonna select the extensions and copy this. That's what I'm gonna do. Looks like we're good. I could save this to make sure that I have an artifact that shows I am checking the hash to make sure I have an untainted hash, right? So I could save this as a hashing artifact for VBox updates. And I could put the date here, something meaningful, so that when I'm looking at this later, I know what the heck it is, right? And how would I know that the hash values are authentic and I just didn't copy and paste some gibberish into a notepad? Well, I could also capture a screenshot of this. Again, it seems to be OCD, but what happens if your expertise is challenged by another forensic expert who does this all the time, right? And then they cite cases where, yeah, things were compromised, yeah? May seem like overkill, but basically, this is one reason why forensics can be very expensive, right? There's a lot of legwork in the process, and you can automate some of this stuff to an extent, but you want to make sure that you dot every I and cross every T, because you want to be able to prove things if challenged. So I'm going to go ahead and, if I were doing this old school and full tilt, I would reboot my system, right? I'm going to go ahead, in the interest of time and sanity, and just load this. Oh, everybody see that? There. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
So if I were doing network forensics with this and I didn't have the Python core installed, could I be challenged on the reliability of my network forensics? By a competitive I'm gonna say proceed, yes, install. Now I have Python installed, I just don't know if the dependency is gonna work right. I may get an error. The last time I tried this, it gave me an error about that Python dependency. So it could be that this latest version fixed that. Why am I taking the time to share this with you? We're about to conduct some basic network forensics. And we want to have some confidence about that. And we're going to be shooting at a test range with our VirtualBox Kali Linux system. And I encourage you to follow along just as soon as I'm finished loading this. All right. Now, what else do I have to do with each of the virtual machines with this extension pack? Am I finished after I load the extension pack? Has anyone ever heard of guest additions inside the virtual machine? Ooh. Okay. Something about the networking. Yeah, that's weird. Wasn't expecting that. Let me try that again. This is a server virtual machine. Now, I'm still getting the same problem with my network interface on this. Wonder if I have the same problem with my Kali. Host interface component. So what do we do to fix this? And by the way, have any of you updated to 7.0.8 and are you seeing the same thing? Hello, hello? I'm going to take out the adapter. Take out the adapter. Let me see if I can enable bridged, right? I'm using my Wi-Fi adapter right now. That would be a different MAC address. I'd have to make sure that I'm doing something with that. Let's just see if this causes, if this helps something. Wow. Okay. So obviously we have a challenge here. Let's solve this problem together. What would you do to shake this loose? Everybody see this right here?
Yeah, I see it.
Why would I be interested in preserving the MAC address of the interface on the bridged adapter for one of my virtual machines I use for forensics? Why would that be important to preserve? Hello? I'm gonna go ahead and put this in NAT mode. I wanna see if that MAC address changes. That's just one thing I'm gonna try to do. I'll do the same with the server. I don't know if the server has a memory, but I'm gonna go into here and 0B55. I'm gonna change this to NAT. Let me see if that makes a difference. Did anyone else experience issues with VirtualBox with their NIC in bridged mode after the update? Did anyone else experience the same failure? If we had time, I'd capture all the error details and I'd research that, right? Looks like it's working. I'm gonna go ahead and log in. Now I can still perform my network forensics, but the only problem is that now the packets that are being used to conduct the forensic analysis are embedded in the packets that are sent to and received by the host network adapter when I'm in NAT mode. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If I look at my IP address, I have an internal private IP address that's NATed to an external adapter on my laptop, right? And I mean, I could, let's see if I can run updates. Can I run updates? Oh, nuts. Am I gonna get a working result with a NAT configuration on my virtual machine? Yeah, it looks like it's working. So maybe if I run updates here, change the config back to bridged. I can use a static assignment. And that's one aspect. One thing I want to do when I'm working with network forensic scenarios is that I want to take stock in what MAC address I have. I also, if I'm in bridge mode, I may want to assign a fixed IP address so that I know from where I'm performing the network forensic analysis. Does everybody understand what I'm saying there? You know what IP address your virtual machine is using. It is fixed, it is static, it is unchanging, it is not dynamically assigned, so that I don't have different IP addresses all over the map, right? And that gets to muddle the water. Now, I'm running the updates using NAT As soon as I'm finished running the updates, what I'm going to do is power this system down, change it back to bridged mode, verify the MAC address, right? And while I'm at it, did I do anything with the guest additions? Everybody see this? So it's installing the guest additions image. That may or may not take, because I'm also doing this. So, have you ever heard those, I was gonna say, running update, internal error? Why did I get an internal error? Could be because I'm juggling too many things, right? So here's the guest addition CD. I inserted that, right? So I can take a different approach. It's probably not a great idea to do that while I'm running an update. That could be one reason why it failed. So I'm in a hurry here, trying to juggle too many things. In a real forensic laboratory, you'd want to take one set of updates at a time and make sure that they complete without errors. If you get errors, you would want to capture the errors, right? So you'd want to make sure you capture the errors on the screen so you know what you're dealing with. Well, let's see how far we can push this. I'm going to insert the guest additions CD. And I should be able to do this. This looks like a script. Yeah. It's a shell script. Yeah. And of course, there's other additional information in here, but let's see if there's a right click and I can run it. I can create a directory, drag this in there, and then execute that. Auto run sh. Run as root sh. So you have a couple of options to use to update your guest additions, which is the internal component of the VirtualBox extension. So on the outside, when you're loading the VirtualBox extensions in the VirtualBox Manager, those manifest as guest additions inside. Because this is open source, you kind of need to understand how that works. It's important once you, let's see if we can do this and tickle this inside the server VM. So inside the server VM, we've changed that to NAT as well. And my MAC address ends in Bravo 550, Bravo 55. So I'm going to go ahead and try to start my server. I should be able to start my server without an error. Now that I'm not trying to work a bridged adapter. Push come to shove, I can remove the network adapter and add a new network adapter. So that's one of the things we can do with virtual machines that's a whole lot easier than physical machines. Any questions at this point for what we're showing and sharing? So I updated the VirtualBox extensions, but inside each of the virtual machines, I need to insert the guest additions CD image. I could use that option. I could use that option to upgrade guest additions, but I'm gonna go ahead and now that I've inserted the guest additions, everybody can see what's showing on the screen, right? Oh, look. Why do we update the VirtualBox guest additions inside each of the virtual machines? That's because the old version of the guest additions is still active inside the virtual machine, even though the extensions have been updated to 7.0.8. Is everybody seeing this? I need somebody to unmute. Tell me you're seeing this.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah, we're seeing it.
so does my study guide mention this? It mentions especially virtual machine software, right? So by extension, you must then update the running virtual machine itself in the same manner. This includes any extensions and or guest addition. Is that addition or addition? Guest additions drivers. Guest addition drivers. Once complete, then update the catalogs and any apps, any OS components and apps. Okay. Now we talk about this kind of stuff in here. We talk about the span port for virtual analysis if you're doing Wireshark and that kind of stuff. This is probably a really helpful thing. You should have a checklist so that you don't forget something. If you're in a hurry, that's what happens. Okay? Any questions? All right, so it's telling me I have to reboot the server now. And these are basic hardware, virtual hardware components. So the VirtualBox guest additions is the internal manifestation of the VirtualBox extensions that we updated. I have to do this, and then I would run my OS update inside, right? So once this reboots, then I can try to run my update. I'm gonna finish running my Kali update, and then what I want to do next is gonna wanna go ahead and finish this and reboot my system in bridged mode, make a note of the MAC address, make sure it has a fixed IP address, and fixed IP address. Then I would go ahead and make a note of the MAC identity, the fixed IP address, and then I could go ahead and take up network forensics with confidence because I can duplicate the results, right? If you're operating on a platform that is constantly changing, there's overhead in terms of the maintenance and assurances that you need to perform constantly. And you were aware of this. You were aware of this earlier in the semester, but it is all the more important when you start working with network forensics, because things are ephemeral. That means they're volatile in a network environment. When you're performing network forensics, the one thing you don't want to do is turn around and go back. Oh, now we have a different MAC address. Now we have a different IP address on the forensic machine, right? So you would want to go ahead and establish a fixed IP address if you were doing this. I'm going to go ahead and repeat my command and see if I get 3 zeros. And if that's the case, I'm going to shut down my Kali. I'm going to change to bridged and see if I can come up in bridge mode. And in the interest of time and sanity, we'll assume that I've done the VirtualBox guest editions update for Kali. I want to have time to talk about Nmap, okay? Does everybody see the 0, 0, and 0?
Yes, we do.
I'm just going to shut this down and transition to bridged mode on the network card and hope that this process, do I have the same MAC address? Before and after? Yeah, I have the same MAC address. Now, if I have a problem starting again, and I think what I'll do is hit the recycle and generate a new random MAC address. That's one solution I could do. And it's possible that working the guest editions update inside Kali would do the trick. Let's see what happens when we try to start this. I'd like to have about 15 minutes to walk through the Nmap network forensic component. It still doesn't like that. So it looks like we have an issue with our internal network adapter. All right, I'm going to revert back to NAT for now. And that's a problem I'll resolve later. And I may send you a quick email with some steps. If you find that you're having the same difficulties, it would be good for you to let me know. Maybe now that updates have finished posting for Kali, I can get the guest editions done, but I'm going to open up a terminal and work some Nmap at this point. It would be a good idea if each of you did the same. If you could open up a terminal in your Kali virtual machine and be ready to run the same command that I do. And what I'd like to do is just compare results. We should have identical results if what we're doing is reliable and verifiable and valid, right? And minimize that now. Can everyone see my screen?
yes.
Yeah.
So there's a great reference for Nmap. Does everybody know what that reference is for Nmap? If you go to the nmap.org website, you can go to the reference guide. Right, so host discovery. Gives you the different switches and options that you can use for host discovery. What we want to do this morning is turn up some options. So this is useful information just to help everybody have their bearings. You know, if a port is open, that means it's active. If it's closed, it's accessible through a firewall. If it's filtered, the firewall is protecting the port. If it's in a, you know, unfiltered state and so on. So it's good to know the definitions. Push come to shove, you can set up a different host system and download your own version of Nmap for Windows or Linux, right? And then install on a separate system if you want to do that. What we want to do is work service and version detection. So we'll try a scan with SV first. And what we're going to do is run the range of our target network. So I'm gonna, well, yeah, that's convenient. So this has some memory here. I'm not gonna scan the local network. Instead, I'm gonna scan a public one, 146.226.249.0/24. This is the same command I'd like you to run from yours so we can compare results. I'll stop sharing the screen and ask you to share yours just so we can compare results. I'm actually going to change this SP to an SN, and then afterwards, it is case sensitive, by the way. So it'll be a capital N, and then I'm going to go ahead and repeat a command with -S capital V. What we're looking for here are indications that we have a host on the network that's doing provocative things. Some of these take quite a while to run. And it looks like we're getting some initial output here. So if I run all the way to the bottom of the range, 254, I should be able to see some things like 101 or 100. I got the same result for every one of the ports in that range with that one command. So when it comes to the public IP address range I'm sitting on, well, that's interesting. For, here's another one. This is also an attractive nuisance. What do we have up on Blue Mountain? Is anyone familiar with Blue Mountain? We have cell towers on Blue Mountain. It's It's the peak behind UVI. When you look north from UVI, you see Blue Mountain with the cell towers on it. Does everybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Okay. So anything that's specifically identified like that, we would call that an attractive nuisance. So my IP address, if I was looking back at my Kali box again, evidently I'm pulling, it's posting an identity for my public network connection through this V47 CR1 SGH broadband. What did it say my IP address was? Here? Oh, yeah, it's identifying the gateway address, right? That would tend to suggest that there's some kind of network address translation.
yeah, I should be able to, sure.
Okay. Job, right?
Right.
Okay. And you did get some results from specific hosts. So this is interesting. You didn't get a contiguous range from 1 to 254. You got 1599, 124, 125.
Result for 99.
Hitron. That's an unusual result. I'm not sure why Hitron would be showing for a work group because we don't have the Hitron work group configured in that machine. That's a Windows. All right. What can you tell me? Look at 99. What port sticks out that's different?
80.
80, right? Yeah. So on 125, you have SSH open. On 99, you have a website. There's a web server and it says service info Windows. Right, so we know it's a Windows operating system and it's running IIS. So that's useful information.